Neiman Gracie versus Jason Jackson. Bellator's rankings just unveiled. Gracie is number 3 at welterweight, Jackson number 6. So this is high stakes. I feel Gracie with a win could potentially be the number 1 contender in the division. His most recent loss was to Rory McDonald, the former champion, and he just beat John Fitch by submission, who went and had a draw with Rory McDonald. So I mean, that's a high level win. Tapping out John Fitch is definitely a great feather in the cap for Neiman Gracie, but he takes on Jason Jackson. Excellent fighter, very good striker, good grappling defense. You look at his last fight, dominated Benson Henderson. Granted, Benson is a much smaller fighter than Jason Jackson, but dominant performance by Jackson there. The one thing I will note about Jason Jackson, he's not a big puncher. He's not really much of a finisher, more of a guy that wins decisions. If you quickly look at his past few wins, 3 straight victories, all by unanimous decision. Ed Ruth, he lost that fight by a close split decision, also has a split decision LFA before that. But if you look, a lot of decision victories. Granted, in 2019 and 18, he was able to get some finishes. But since 2019, it's been decisions, but he's looked the best we've seen him look. He's fighting the highest level of guys, so obviously finishes don't come as easily against the best of the best. I do think a lot of things to like about Jason Jackson here in this matchup against Neiman Gracie. For Neiman Gracie, obviously, we know the way he wants to win. It's submission. He's not a knockout artist. He's a grappling specialist, and he's damn good at it. His jiu-jitsu, from what I have heard, from what I have read about him, he revolved his game around being a fighter and doing jiu-jitsu, not just sport jiu-jitsu. I think that's why he's having a lot of success. Beat Ed Ruth, that's a big win. Lost to Rory McDonald, no shame there. Rory's a longtime veteran of the game, former champion in Bellator. He's now in the PFL, and he beat John Fitch by a heel hook. A win against Jason Jackson is huge for Neiman Gracie, but it's not an easy fight. If Jackson's able to fend off the takedowns, as far as striking goes, Jackson has the advantage. He's definitely better than Neiman Gracie with his kickboxing. Gracie, more of a Muay Thai style striker, does leave his head a bit open in the center line, but granted, he's a grappler, so he's going to be looking to set things up and get the fight to the mat, so not a super big concern as if he was a striker and he only wants to strike with Jason Jackson. I do feel there's a chance for Jackson here. Granted, not being a knockout puncher, being a guy that's more of a volume guy, that's very scary in a fight against Neiman Gracie because the submission threat will always be there. I feel this fight will eventually hit the mat. No matter how good Jason Jackson looks on the feet, I believe he'll eventually be either put down, or even if Gracie looks to set up something from the clinch, maybe he even pulls guard. If this fight is on the mat, it's Neiman Gracie's game, and I do believe he will eventually get it there, no matter how good Jackson looks. If he's able to fend off submission attempts and not get tapped, I would actually be more so surprised, because John Fitch couldn't do it. Granted, Fitch willing to engage in the grappling exchanges. Still, I don't think Jackson has that level of defense that he's going to be able to stop Neiman Gracie. He's an excellent fighter, Jason Jackson, hot prospect. I like his style, has a split decision with Ed Ruth, as I mentioned. Granted, Gracie's a very different style than that. He's not just going to take you down laying prey. He's going to be looking for submissions. He throws up heel hooks. Something is getting grabbed. Either it's a limb or it's a neck. I'm going to say Neiman Gracie gets a submission in the second round over Jason Jackson. It will be his biggest win to date, and I think it makes him probably the top contender in the welterweight division. There's one issue. Michael Venom Page is ranked number 1. I'm a fan of Michael Venom Page, but he has not beaten the top guys like Neiman Gracie has. Definitely has that fan favorite effect. Definitely some bias towards the rankings, seeing that Michael Venom Page is at the top of that list, because I personally don't agree with him being the number 1 contender, but that's what they chose. That's fine. Amosov, I believe, is number 2. He's 25-0. I think that's absolutely fair. Neiman Gracie at number 3, that's fine. I think Gracie with the win, though, could be the guy getting the world title shot. But if they do go Venom Page's way, I definitely wouldn't be surprised. And maybe they do Gracie, versus Amoslav. We can quickly look at the Bellator rankings. I'll pull them up. The welterweight division. Not the prettiest rankings, not like the UFC, but you can see there, number 1 contender, Michael Page. Yaroslav Amosov is the number 2 guy in the world. Neiman Gracie at number 3. Logan Storley 4. Derek Anderson 5. And Jason Jackson right there at 6. Definitely some solid guys in that top 6. Outside of the top 6, still good fighters. Maybe not as high level. Joey Davis, though, definitely somebody to keep an eye on. Granted, he's on the rise. Young prospect, 8-0. I'd like to see him get a big fight. But I feel Neiman Gracie with a win is, in my opinion, I'd give him a title shot because he's beaten potentially better names. But name value, fan effect, Michael Venom Page is very good with that. He's a very big fan favorite name, and definitely does bring the excitement. But I have Neiman Gracie winning this fight. We'll check out the betting odds real quick for this matchup. Updated odds. Right now, Jason Jackson is actually the minus 120 favorite for Neiman Gracie at the plus 100 underdog. The odds have shifted for this fight. Neiman Gracie will find a way to win. A lot of people are liking Jason Jackson. I like Jason Jackson. He's got a ton of good tools. He went and beat Benson Henderson, but Neiman Gracie's jiu-jitsu style is very different. He's eventually going to get something. There's no way I see Jason Jackson stopping the submission unless he is able to stay on his feet the whole fight, which I don't see as possible. I have Neiman Gracie. Submission, round number 2, should be an excellent co-main event with some seriously high stakes. I cannot wait to see it. Make sure you guys smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, guys, follow my social media, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and I'll see you all in the next video.